Do you know what this symbol represents? Do you think it's important? Take a look at these cute little fellows.
When we got the diagnosis with my son, it was like, okay, what do we do?
2016. You want to put that up for me, Paris?
Yeah. The program is designed to help kids work on socialization through communication and play with other kids while in a structured environment.
It helps them attend and listen better, focus better, follow directions better. Many of the things that come naturally to children who don't have autism, those skills just don't come naturally. Those are things that you have to teach.
Silas.
Oscar did not start out where he is today. Oscar, when he first came in, could not regulate himself. When it came time to sit at circle, he would get very angry. He would throw himself on the floor. He would peel his socks and shoes off. As you saw today, Oscar was sitting in circle. He was interacting with his peers. He was attending.
This is just like night and day. He enjoys it and it's beneficial to him. I mean, I can see, like I said before, his eye contact and he comes out with a huge smile on his face. He's a kid, he's an autistic kid. So it's important for him to have fun.
This video belongs to the SMART program, which takes place in Nationwide Children's Hospital in Ohio, USA. This wonderful or amazing program teaches children within the spectrum of autism the fundamental social skills to navigate the world. But hold on a second, what is this so-called spectrum? According to Autism Speak webpage, Autism Spectrum Disorder (ASD) refers to a broad range of conditions characterized by challenges with social skills, repetitive behaviors, speech, and non-verbal communication. According to the Centers for Disease Control, autism affects an estimated in 1 to 54 children in the United States only. Because autism is a spectrum disorder, each person with autism has a distinct set of strengths and challenges. The ways in which people with autism learn, think, and problem solve can range from highly skilled to severely challenged. Some people with ASD may require significant support in their daily lives, while others may need less support and in some cases live entirely independently. ASD is characterized by impairments or delays in two domains: social interactions and language and communication. In addition, there are restricted and highly repetitive motor behaviors and unusual interests. There appears to be no single cause for ASD, though there are impacts of genetic differences and of a significance of neurobiological component. And of course, as regards our teaching training, we strongly believe that we should have a better insight about how to teach or help students that are within the spectrum. It is known that these individuals have a different way of interpreting and learning. Therefore, we, as teachers, should be prepared in order to facilitate their learning and also to understand their particular ways of acquiring knowledge.
In this presentation, we will deal with the article Language Acquisition in Autism Spectrum Disorders, a developmental review, which mentions the characteristics of ASD individuals' language acquisition, and we will provide some examples and tools on how to help them in the process of acquiring the language. We will mention different language aspects and how these are characterized in ASD. Language in ASD. People with ASD may struggle with different language domains. Data suggests that language impairments are present across essentially all individuals with ASD. Early studies indicated that some 50% of affected individuals never acquire functional speech. Language acquisition in ASD is characterized by dramatic delays, with first words produced at age 38 months on average. Many children with ASD show a tendency for a language aspect called echolalia, This means that they produce language as an immediate or delayed imitation, an echoing, of the language they have heard from partners, other people, or even the media, such as a cartoon or TV shows. In fact, this language aspect is mainly used for communicative purposes and doesn't facilitate their grammatical acquisition.
Hi, Lucas.
Hello, Lucas.
Say no, say hi, Georgia.
Hi, Lola.
Give me a hug. Come here. Come here. I gotta tell you something. Hi. Give me a big hug. Oh. How are you?
Hi.
Say, I'm fine.
I'm fine.
Good. That's good. Are you playing?
I'm fine.
Cheek, 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 cheek. Oh, it's cold, look. Ooh.
Other domains in which they might have problems are Discourse and Pragmatics. The concept of pragmatics refers to the use of language as a tool for communication. Specifically, how language is used in the context of social interactions. In general, discourse and pragmatics are commonly acknowledged as the most consistently impaired domains in ASD, remaining impaired even in children with a history of ASD who no longer meet the criteria for a diagnosis on the spectrum. In the article, the authors mentioned that the EF theory, executive functioning, is designed to explain the core deficits in ASD. Briefly, it suggests that ASD involves impairments in a set of cognitive processes associated primarily with the functional circuitry of the frontal lobes of the brain. These processes include working memory, inhibition, set shifting, goal maintenance, and cognitive control. And the EF theory proposes that deficits in these processes may account for the symptoms in ASD, including social deficits, communication delays, and repetitive behaviors. By this account, children with autism may fail at pragmatic and discourse tasks because they are unable to simultaneously consider and respond to multiple sources of information, or to inhibit inappropriate, potent, or salient responses. In general, pragmatic deficits are nearly universal in individuals with both high and low function in ASD. Early research in this area suggested that individuals with ASD disorder were likely to use overly formal or precise words, and generally odd phrasing in talking to others, something described in the popular press as a little professor style of speech.
Hi YouTube, back for another vlog. It's been observed that people who are on the autism spectrum, especially the Asperger's side like I got, a lot of them have a very, very unique vocal characteristics to the way they speak. And I was no exception to that rule. I'm not going to waste any more time. You can actually hear how I talk as a kid. I'm going to show you some home video from 1988. One thing to pay attention to in this video when you watch is how my voice kind of has a labored sing-song quality to it.
Murphy. We have Murphy.
Let me zoom in.
Dog. Who likes to bark.
What picture is that on the wall?
And as we know, we go back in time to a picture of Mother as a kid in school. And you know that this may be a little bit familiar, as it is a clamshell. Over here we have a beautiful couch.
The next topic is prosody. Prosody is closely connected to pragmatic abilities, that is to say, language used in context. This means, for example, the comprehension of rhythm, stress, and intonation of speech. With this said, studies have found that there exist prosodic impairments with children with ASD. At times, they mismatch or place a wrong lexical stress or even a slow phrasing. Although all the studies to date show that individuals with ASD have difficulties with prosodic production and comprehension, more research is related to identify the source of these difficulties.
Semantics. This is related to the knowledge of the meaning of words and how these meanings map into the real world. Studies of semantic processes in individuals with ASD have shown conflicting results. One study found that children with ASD were better at recalling semantically related items than unrelated ones, and were better at recalling syntactically coherent sentences rather than syntactically random groupings. Several researchers have concluded that individuals with autism are generally unimpaired in the comprehension and production of semantic information. However, other studies signaled that children with ASD have difficulty understanding the meaning of verbs that indicate someone's internal mental state, such as think, know, and remember. Phonology. Phonology is a term that refers to the production and organization of sounds to encode meaning, and also it elapses with phonetics in reference to the articulation of speech. There has been a variety of clinical studies sensible to neurobiological problems and provide excellent target research for ASD. A variety of studies have found essentially intact phonology in individuals with ASD. Some studies, however, have found significant phonological deficits. A small group of 9 autistic children had delays on the Edinburgh Articulatory Scale compared to controls with MR. In general, studies seem to suggest that while most individuals with ASD do not have specific impairments, phonological and articulatory problems can be found in low-functioning individuals with autism and in early childhood.
And now, in conclusion, researchers in language acquisition have turned to ASD because of studies like this and have related disorders in order to offer the possibility of examining differences within the spectrum in different language, social, and cognitive domains. This is what is called the natural laboratory of theories of language acquisition. Thus, this study has provided an overview of the state of knowledge of language acquisition in autism spectrum disorders and has reviewed implications of the development. All in all, we strongly believe that we should have a better insight about how to teach or help students within the spectrum. It is known that they have a different way of interpreting and learning, and therefore, we, as teachers, should be prepared in order to facilitate their learning and also understand their particular ways of acquiring knowledge. So, before ending our presentation, we thought and we considered that it's relevant to share some teaching ideas. For example, use a weekly homework log that can be sent from school to home and back, so to keep everyone informed of when work is due and the progress that has been made. Another one interesting example is to offer assignments checklists to break up large and often overwhelming tasks into more manageable pieces. Another interesting thing is to encourage students to use a day planner to stay organized, and thus also leave enough time to provide instructions, repeat instructions whenever is possible, and then offer individual assistance to students. Another interesting fact or a tip is to position the student's desk in a place that is near the teacher and away from distractions. Last but not least, add pictograms to your everyday activities to order the class and anticipate students on the activities for the day and provide a better guidance. With all this said, thanks for your attention. We hope you enjoyed this presentation.